Chosen one. You did not arrive here by chance or by curiosity alone. You were drawn by divine appointment, summoned by a timing written in heaven long before this moment. If your spirit feels alert, if something within you is stirring, it is because heaven is leaning in and calling your name. This is the hour where what was promised in secret begins to surface in power, and you are standing at the edge of a supernatural breakthrough prepared specifically for you. Chosen one, there is an acceleration taking place. What was delayed is now aligning. What was withheld is now being released. The Spirit of the Lord is shifting seasons, repositioning the faithful, and preparing a transfer that will not look ordinary to the natural eye. Sudden elevation, divine provision, and heaven-sent transformation are converging in this moment, and your obedience is the key that unlocks it. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision awaits its appointed time, but when it comes, it will not delay. Anointed one, the meeting of the 144,000 is not a myth or a symbol. It is an assignment unfolding across realms. Heaven's timetable is active, and 7 sacred duties are being entrusted to those who are willing to hear and obey. Still your heart. Open your spirit. What follows is not information. It is activation. Chosen one, I am speaking to you this way because this is not theory to me. I know what it feels like when heaven interrupts an ordinary moment and suddenly everything inside you becomes alert. I know the quiet pressure in the chest, the sense that something unseen is drawing closer, the realization that life as you understood it is about to shift. If you are listening right now and you feel that inner stillness mixed with urgency, it is because this moment was appointed. Heaven does not waste timing, and it does not misfire messages. You are here because God has already begun moving pieces into place around your life. Chosen one. There comes a season when preparation gives way to positioning. Many of you have been faithful in obscurity. You prayed when no one noticed. You obeyed when it cost you comfort. You walked away from paths that looked safe because something in your spirit would not let you settle. I remember seasons like that in my own life, where obedience felt lonely and clarity came only one step at a time. At the time, it felt like delay. Looking back, it was precision. God was aligning character before calling, endurance before elevation, humility before authority. Anointed one. Heaven is intervening now in ways you may not fully see yet. Conversations will shift. Opportunities will realign. What once felt closed will begin to loosen. What once felt heavy will start to lift. This is how divine alignment often arrives, not with noise, but with quiet rearrangement. Scripture teaches that the steps of the righteous are ordered, and I have learned that order does not always feel comfortable at first. Sometimes it feels like disruption. Sometimes it feels like loss. But when God orders your steps, every move carries purpose, even when the path feels unfamiliar. Chosen one. The number 144,000 is not meant to intimidate you. It is meant to anchor you. It speaks of identity before action, of sealing before sending. Long before you understood why your life felt different, God already knew where He was leading you. Long before the battles intensified, He had already measured your capacity to stand. You were not chosen because you were flawless. You were chosen because you were willing to keep returning to truth, even after failure, even after doubt, even after seasons where you questioned yourself. I want to ground this moment for you. This calling does not remove you from real life. It does not mean you never struggled with fear, finances, relationships, or uncertainty. I have walked through seasons where provision did not arrive early, where obedience did not get applause, where trusting God meant releasing control entirely. What I learned is this: divine elevation often begins when you stop trying to secure outcomes and start surrendering direction. Heaven backs obedience more than effort. Chosen one. There is a supernatural realignment happening around wealth, authority, and influence. This is not about greed. This is about stewardship. God does not transfer resources to elevate ego. He transfers resources to advance purpose. Many of you are being prepared to carry more because you have learned how to hold little with integrity. You have learned to pray when answers were slow. You have learned to give when it stretched you. That training matters now. Heaven trusts those who were faithful when no one was watching. Anointed one, I need you to understand this clearly. The next meeting of the chosen is not only a gathering, it is a shift in assignment. It marks the transition from internal refinement to external responsibility. That is why the pressure has increased. That is why the urgency feels stronger. That is why distractions seem louder than ever. The enemy does not fight what is inactive. Resistance is often confirmation that movement is near. Chosen one, take a moment and breathe. Let your spirit settle. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are being aligned. In the next segment, we will go deeper into the true identity of the 144,000 and why understanding who you are must come before understanding what you are called to do. Chosen one. There is a reason your spirit has always searched for meaning beneath the surface of ordinary life. While others were content with routine answers, you sensed layers beneath every experience, as if heaven was quietly speaking through moments most people overlooked. This awareness did not come from imagination. It came from imprint. God places a knowing inside those he intends to awaken later, and that knowing does not fade even when life tries to bury it under responsibility, disappointment, or delay. You may remember seasons when you tried to live like everyone else, following expected paths, chasing stability, convincing yourself that your hunger for something more was unrealistic. Yet even in those moments, something unsettled you. Success without purpose felt empty. Comfort without calling felt heavy. That tension was not rebellion. It was alignment trying to surface. I have lived that tension, trying to reason away the pull while feeling it return stronger every time I ignored it. The identity of the 144,000 is not about exclusivity. It is about function. In Scripture, sealing always precedes sending. God marks before he moves. Many of you were marked through suffering, through isolation, through seasons where obedience cost you relationships or reputation. Those experiences were not punishments. They were filters. They refined your hearing so that when God speaks, you recognize his voice without confusion. Chosen one. Heaven often trains leaders in silence. I learned that clarity is not always loud. Some of the most defining instructions came to me in quiet moments during prayer, when no emotion accompanied the message, only certainty. That certainty did not explain every step. It simply demanded trust. In the same way, your calling does not require you to understand everything now. It requires you to remain yielded. You are not chosen because you are strong. You are chosen because you learned how to return after breaking. You learned repentance without shame and obedience without applause. This is why the enemy has tried to exhaust you, distract you, and convince you that your past disqualifies you. If he could silence you through regret, he would. But grace has already rewritten your story. There is also a reason why spiritual warfare intensified as you grew closer to your purpose. Resistance increases when movement becomes inevitable. You may have noticed patterns of interruption just as momentum began building. Unexpected delays, misunderstandings, or fatigue that arrived without explanation. These are not signs to retreat, they are signals to remain anchored. I have seen doors delay, not because God withheld, but because timing was protecting what was coming. Chosen. One divine wealth transfer is not limited to finances, though provision will follow obedience. Wealth in heaven's language includes influence, access, wisdom, and authority. God entrusts resources to those who will not worship them. Many of you are being prepared to steward more because you have learned contentment in lack and humility in increase. That balance matters now. Your prayers carry weight because they come from experience, not theory. When you intercede, you are not reciting words. You are drawing from lived encounters with God's faithfulness. This is why your prayers feel different. They are grounded. They are steady. They do not panic. Heaven listens closely to those who pray from alignment rather than fear. Chosen one. Surrender in this season will look practical. It may require releasing control over timelines, outcomes, or identities you once relied on. It may mean obeying instructions that do not make sense yet. I know how difficult that feels. Surrender often arrives disguised as loss, but it produces freedom that control never could. Do not despise the simplicity of your obedience. Small yes decisions accumulate into irreversible momentum. Every time you choose truth over comfort, alignment over approval, faith over familiarity, something shifts. You may not feel it immediately, but heaven records it precisely. You are not waiting on God. God is positioning you. The sense of anticipation you feel is not anxiety. It is readiness, forming. Stay present, stay honest, stay responsive. What God is building in you now will sustain what He releases through you later. Trust the process that prepared you to stand when others fall away. Chosen one, remain attentive to the ordinary rhythms of your life because divine instruction often hides within routine moments. A conversation, a pause, a sudden conviction. These are ways heaven fine-tunes your discernment. I have learned that obedience practiced privately becomes authority expressed publicly. When you honor God in unseen choices, you build a foundation that cannot be shaken when exposure arrives. Let patience mature you rather than frustrate you. Patience is not passive, it is active trust. You are learning to move without panic, to decide without fear, and to stand without needing validation. This stability is rare, and it is necessary for what you are called to carry. Let your yes remain simple, and your heart remain teachable. Heaven is not rushing you, but it is ready. So are you. Stay grounded in prayer, anchored in truth, and open to correction as God continues shaping you. Chosen one. There comes a moment when awareness turns into responsibility, when revelation no longer comforts but commissions. This is the point many resist without realizing it, because responsibility requires alignment, and alignment requires surrender. You may feel this tension now, a sense that what once inspired you is now asking something of you. This is not pressure from heaven meant to crush you. It is weight meant to mature you. I remember when revelation first began shifting into expectation in my own walk. The messages that once felt like confirmation started sounding like instruction. The peace that once soothed began to stir urgency. That is how calling deepens. You are being trained to discern timing, not just truth. Truth without timing can still cause harm. God is precise. and those entrusted with influence must learn restraint as well as boldness. Many of you are learning this through delays that frustrate you. Doors you expected to open quickly have remained shut, not because you were denied, but because you are being taught patience without bitterness. Heaven watches how you wait as closely as how you act. Waiting reveals whether obedience is rooted in trust or transaction. Chosen one. The concept of the 144,000 carries structure. It speaks of order, unity, and intentional placement. No stone is placed randomly in a structure meant to stand. You are learning where you fit, not by comparison, but by clarity. Comparison creates competition, but clarity produces cooperation. I have seen gifted people fall because they chased positions they were not assigned. Alignment is safer than ambition. God does not need you everywhere. He needs you faithful where you are called. There is also a refinement happening in your discernment. You may notice you are less impressed by noise, charisma, or appearance. What once drew your attention now feels hollow. This is not cynicism. It is maturity. Discernment sharpens when intimacy deepens. You begin to recognize substance over style, fruit over performance. This protects you from deception that masquerades as light. The closer you walk with God, the less you need to analyze everything. Your spirit recognizes truth before your mind explains it. Chosen. One spiritual authority grows quietly. It is built in unseen decisions, private obedience, and consistent humility. Authority is not proven by how loudly you speak, but by how clearly heaven responds when you pray. I learned that authority increases when you stop needing to be seen. When you no longer need validation, your words carry more weight. Heaven entrusts influence to those who will not abuse it. You may be noticing shifts in relationships. Some connections feel distant, others dissolve without conflict. This is not always loss. Sometimes it is reallocation. God removes weight that would slow you down later. He is not punishing you by pruning. He is preserving you. When seasons change, so must access. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into every phase. Releasing people with grace is part of maturity. Chosen. One divine provision often follows obedience in motion, not obedience in planning. You may want guarantees before stepping forward, but faith moves before confirmation arrives. I have stepped into assignments with less clarity than comfort demanded, and I learned that provision followed obedience, not hesitation. Heaven funds alignment. When you move in step with God, resources adjust accordingly. You are also being trained to carry responsibility for others without carrying control over them. This is important. You can guide without dominating, teach without manipulating, correct without condemning. Leadership in the kingdom is not about control, it is about covering. You are learning to intercede rather than interfere. That distinction matters. Chosen one. The pressure you feel is shaping endurance. Endurance is what sustains calling when novelty fades. There will be moments when obedience feels repetitive, unseen, and unrewarded. Those moments build stamina. Stamina keeps you steady when excitement fades. Heaven trusts those who remain faithful when emotions fluctuate. Stay grounded. Stay honest with God. Tell Him when you are tired. He does not withdraw because of weakness. He strengthens through it. Let Him recalibrate you when necessary. Correction is not rejection. It is precision. You are being shaped to carry what is coming without being crushed by it. Remain responsive. The work being done in you now is foundational, and foundations are rarely glamorous, but they determine everything that follows. Chosen one, as preparation deepens, awareness expands beyond the personal into the collective. You begin to realize that your obedience affects more than your own life. This is where calling shifts from internal transformation to external impact. It can feel overwhelming at first. Responsibility often does. When God widens your vision, He also widens your compassion. You begin to notice burdens that were not yours before, concerns for people, regions, or situations you once ignored. This is not distraction. It is assignment forming. I remember when my prayers stopped revolving solely around my own needs and began including people I had never met, situations I did not fully understand, and outcomes I could not control. At first, it felt strange. Why should I care this deeply? But intercession is not chosen by logic. It is assigned by the Spirit. When God invites you to stand in the gap, He trusts you with influence you cannot see yet. Chosen one, you are learning how to carry weight without collapsing under it. This requires boundaries, discernment, and rest. Burnout is not proof of dedication. It is often proof of imbalance. God does not ask you to neglect your humanity to prove your spirituality. He asks you to steward both. Rest is not retreat. It is reinforcement. Those who last learn when to pause. There is also a sobering clarity emerging in this season. You are becoming less tolerant of compromise in yourself. Conviction feels sharper, not heavier, but clearer. This is a gift. Conviction protects authority. When integrity weakens, influence follows. You are learning that small compromises create large fractures over time. Staying aligned requires daily attentiveness, not dramatic gestures. Chosen one, your voice matters more than you realize, but only when it flows from alignment. Words spoken out of timing lose power. Words spoken from obedience carry weight. You may feel restrained at times, sensing when not to speak. This is not fear, it is wisdom. Silence can be obedience when God is working behind the scenes. I have learned that restraint often precedes release. When the time comes to speak, clarity will replace hesitation. You are also being prepared to walk in unity without uniformity. The gathering of the chosen is not about sameness, it is about alignment. Each carries a distinct function. Unity does not erase individuality, it harmonizes it. You do not need to imitate another's calling to validate your own. Comparison dilutes identity. Focus sharpens it. Chosen one, expect acceleration but not chaos. God moves quickly but never carelessly. When alignment locks in, things may unfold faster than expected. This is why preparation matters. Acceleration without foundation produces collapse. You are being grounded now so you can move later without instability. There may be moments when fear tries to surface, usually disguised as concern or caution. Fear often appears when significance approaches. Acknowledge it, but do not partner with it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is obedience despite it. Every step forward strengthens confidence. Chosen one, the days ahead will require clarity of allegiance. You cannot serve purpose and comfort equally. One will always demand sacrifice. Choosing purpose may cost you ease, but it will reward you with peace that comfort cannot provide. Peace that comes from alignment sustains when circumstances shift. Stay attentive to correction. Pride resists it. Humility welcomes it. Those who remain teachable remain usable. God does not look for perfection. He looks for responsiveness. A heart that adjusts quickly stays aligned. You are not being rushed, but you are being readied. The awareness growing within you is intentional. Let it mature without anxiety. Trust that God reveals what you need when you need it. Remain anchored in truth, consistent in prayer, and open to refinement. Chosen one. What you carry is not fragile, but it is sacred. Guard it with wisdom. Nurture it with obedience. Release it only when instructed. Your life is becoming a vessel shaped by surrender and strengthened by trust. Walk steadily. Heaven is attentive. You are not alone in this process. Stay faithful in the unseen and remain present where God has placed you. Chosen one. There is a season when refinement gives way to responsibility, and responsibility begins to reshape how you move through everyday life. You may notice that ordinary decisions now feel heavier, not because fear has increased, but because awareness has deepened. You no longer move casually. You pause more. You listen longer. You sense consequences before actions unfold. This is not hesitation. It is discernment forming through experience and surrender. I remember realizing that even small choices carried spiritual weight once alignment settled into my spirit. What once felt neutral began to feel directional, and I understood that maturity changes how you perceive movement. As this awareness grows, you may feel a quiet separation between you and environments that once felt familiar. Conversations that revolve around complaint, distraction, or surface ambition may drain you faster than before. This does not mean you are superior. It means your appetite has changed. When God prepares a vessel, He adjusts what satisfies it. I have learned that this shift can feel isolating at first, but it is also clarifying. You begin to value depth over noise, sincerity over performance, truth over comfort. This refinement protects what God is building within you. Chosen one responsibility also requires consistency. Passion ignites calling, but consistency sustains it. There will be days when obedience feels ordinary, when prayer feels quiet, when progress seems invisible. These are not wasted days. They are stabilizing days. I have walked through seasons where nothing dramatic happened outwardly, yet inwardly, something solid was forming. Those seasons later became the foundation that carried me through acceleration without collapse. Consistency trains your spirit to remain faithful without constant affirmation. You may also be learning how to carry authority without announcing it. True authority does not demand recognition. It reveals itself through presence. People may respond differently to you without understanding why. Conversations may open unexpectedly. Trust may be offered quickly. These moments are not accidents. They are the overflow of alignment. Authority that comes from intimacy with God does not need explanation. It is recognized in the spirit before it is understood in the mind. Chosen one, stewardship becomes central in this phase. Stewardship of time, energy, relationships, and resources. You may feel prompted to simplify, to release obligations that no longer align, to create space for what matters most. This can feel uncomfortable, especially if you are used to carrying responsibility for others at the expense of yourself. I learned that stewardship sometimes requires saying no, not out of selfishness, but out of obedience. You cannot pour endlessly without being refilled, and God does not ask you to neglect your health to prove your faith. There is also a growing sensitivity to integrity. You may notice that compromises you once rationalized now feel heavier. Words spoken carelessly linger longer. Intentions matter more. This sensitivity is not meant to burden you, it is meant to guard you. Integrity preserves clarity. When integrity weakens, confusion increases. God sharpens conviction in those he trusts, because conviction keeps authority clean. I have learned that quick repentance restores alignment faster than prolonged justification ever could. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of hidden obedience. Heaven values what the world overlooks. The prayers no one hears, the faithfulness no one applauds, the choices no one notices. These are the moments that shape your capacity to carry more later. When promotion comes, it rests on these unseen decisions. You are being trained to value heaven's affirmation over human approval. This shift frees you from striving and anchors you in peace. As responsibility grows, you may also experience moments of self-doubt. This does not mean you are failing. It means you care about honoring the calling entrusted to you. I have learned that humility often sounds like questioning yourself, while pride rarely does. Bring your questions to God rather than letting them isolate you. He is not threatened by your honesty. He responds to it. Chosen one alignment also affects how you perceive provision. You begin to see that provision often follows movement rather than waiting. When you take steps of obedience, resources appear in ways you could not have planned. This may come through unexpected connections, timely opportunities, or quiet provision that meets needs without excess. I have seen provision arrive precisely when obedience required it not before. This taught me trust beyond calculation. Your life is becoming less about control and more about cooperation. Cooperation with timing, with instruction, with correction. This requires flexibility. Rigid plans often break under divine redirection. Staying responsive allows God to reposition you without resistance. I have learned that surrender is not passive. It is active agreement with God's leading, even when it disrupts personal preference. Chosen one, there is a steadiness forming within you that cannot be manufactured. This steadiness allows you to remain calm in uncertainty and grounded in transition. It is the result of repeated trust exercised under pressure. This inner stability will be essential as responsibility increases. Remain attentive to your inner life. Guard your thought patterns. Rest when needed. Speak truth to yourself when doubt arises. You are not being shaped for admiration. You are being shaped for endurance. Endurance outlasts excitement. It sustains obedience when novelty fades. What God is entrusting to you requires longevity, not momentary intensity. Let patience finish its work. You are learning how to carry weight without being consumed by it, how to lead without losing yourself, how to obey without striving. This season is producing maturity that will support everything that follows. Chosen one, as maturity settles into your spirit, clarity begins to replace urgency driven by emotion. You still feel the weight of the calling, but it no longer unsettles you. Instead, it steadies you. You move with intention rather than impulse, with listening rather than rushing. This shift marks growth. Early urgency often comes from excitement or fear. Mature urgency comes from alignment. I remember realizing that I no longer needed to prove readiness. I simply needed to remain responsive. That realization brought peace that effort never could. You may notice that your prayer life has changed. It feels less like asking and more like aligning. Less about persuading God and more about agreeing with Him. Silence becomes as meaningful as words. Listening becomes as powerful as speaking. This is not spiritual dryness. It is intimacy deepening. When trust matures, conversation simplifies. God does not need constant explanation from those who know his voice. He invites partnership rather than performance. Chosen one partnership requires trust on both sides. God entrusts instruction to those who will carry it with humility. You are learning to receive guidance without needing full context. This can feel uncomfortable, especially if you value understanding. I have learned that obedience often precedes explanation. Clarity follows action. This pattern builds faith that does not depend on reassurance. It trains you to move when prompted and rest when instructed. There is also a growing awareness of timing. You may sense when to act and when to wait without external confirmation. This sensitivity develops through consistent obedience. Each time you follow instruction accurately, your discernment sharpens. Over time, hesitation decreases. Confidence grows not in self, but in alignment. This confidence allows you to remain steady, even when outcomes are uncertain. Chosen one. Your relationship with success may also be changing. What once felt important may now feel secondary. Recognition loses its grip. Influence becomes a tool rather than a goal. This shift protects you from comparison. When you stop measuring progress by visibility, you free yourself to focus on faithfulness. I have learned that unseen impact often outweighs visible achievement. Heaven measures fruit differently than people do. You may also find yourself mentoring without intending to. Others may seek your perspective, your presence, your prayer. This is not coincidence. Authority attracts hunger. Be mindful not to carry responsibility God has not assigned. You are called to guide, not rescue. Offering wisdom does not require absorbing burdens. Maintain healthy boundaries. Boundaries protect sustainability. Chosen one. Endurance becomes especially important as momentum builds. Acceleration can exhaust those who are not anchored. Rest remains essential even as activity increases. God does not reward burnout. He sustains obedience. Learn to recognize signs of fatigue early. Address them honestly. Rest does not delay purpose. It preserves it. I have learned that stepping back briefly can prevent falling apart later. There may also be moments when obedience requires courage that feels costly. Speaking truth gently but firmly. Declining opportunities that misalign. Choosing integrity over convenience. These moments shape legacy. Legacy is built through choices made when no one forces you to choose rightly. Courage exercised quietly carries lasting impact. Chosen one, expect seasons where results lag behind obedience. This does not mean your efforts are ineffective. Some seeds require time underground. Trust the process. Heaven does not forget faithful labor. Timing protects outcomes. When results arrive prematurely, they often lack stability. Delayed release often produces deeper roots. Your inner dialogue matters greatly in this season. Speak alignment over yourself. When doubt whispers, respond with truth. Not emotional reassurance, but grounded truth. Remind yourself of what God has already carried you through. Reflection builds confidence. Memory strengthens faith. I often revisit moments of provision and guidance to anchor my trust during uncertainty. Chosen. One, humility remains your greatest safeguard. Pride isolates. Humility keeps you connected to correction, to community, and to God. Stay teachable. Stay open. Being chosen does not remove the need for growth. It increases it. Those who remain flexible remain usable. You may feel anticipation without knowing details. This is readiness, not anxiety. Readiness positions you to respond without panic. Maintain routines that ground you. Prayer, reflection, rest, and honesty keep you aligned. Do not neglect simple disciplines. They sustain complex assignments. Chosen one. Your life is becoming integrated. Faith and action align. Belief and behavior converge. This integration produces peace that does not depend on circumstances. You are learning to remain steady regardless of external shifts. This steadiness will be necessary as responsibility expands. Remain faithful in the present moment. Do not rush the unfolding. Trust the pacing of God. He is attentive. He is precise. He is committed to completing what He began in you. Walk forward with quiet confidence, anchored in truth, responsive to instruction, and grounded in humility. What you are becoming matters as much as what you will do. Chosen one. There is a stage in the journey where preparation matures into quiet confidence, not the kind that draws attention, but the kind that steadies your inner world, regardless of what surrounds you. You may notice that situations which once unsettled you now pass without shaking your core. This is not numbness, it is rootedness. Rootedness grows when truth sinks deeper than emotion and trust outlasts uncertainty. I remember recognizing this change when challenges no longer triggered panic but prompted prayer. The external pressure remained, yet the internal response had transformed. In this season, you are learning to steward influence without chasing it. Influence naturally flows towards stability. People sense when someone is anchored when their words are not reactive but considered. This is why others may begin seeking your counsel more often, even without understanding why. They are responding to alignment. Alignment carries weight without effort. It speaks through presence before words are formed. Chosen one. There is also an increasing awareness of responsibility that does not feel heavy but meaningful. Responsibility that aligns with calling brings fulfillment rather than exhaustion. When actions align with purpose, energy replenishes instead of depleting. I learned this difference through seasons where activity drained me because it lacked alignment, and later through seasons where activity sustained me because it flowed from obedience. Pay attention to what gives life rather than takes it. That awareness is guidance. You may also sense a deepening compassion for others, especially those navigating confusion or transition. Compassion grows as judgment fades. When you understand your own process, patience for others increases. This does not mean you compromise truth. It means you deliver truth with grace. Grace does not weaken truth. It carries it. Authority without compassion repels. Authority grounded in compassion restores. Chosen one discernment continues sharpening. You may notice you recognize misalignment quickly sometimes before evidence appears. This is not suspicion. It is perception trained by intimacy with God. Discernment does not accuse. It observes. It does not rush to conclusions. It responds when instructed. Learning when not to engage is as important as knowing when to speak. Silence can protect alignment when words would distract. There may also be moments when obedience requires releasing control over outcomes entirely. You act in faith, yet results unfold slowly or differently than expected. This is not failure, it is trust being refined. I have learned that obedience is complete the moment it is given, regardless of visible outcome. Outcomes belong to God. Obedience belongs to you. Separating the two frees you from disappointment and anchors you in peace. Chosen one. This phase also brings clarity around boundaries. You begin recognizing where your responsibility ends and another's begins. This clarity protects you from carrying burdens you were not assigned. Carrying unassigned weight leads to exhaustion and confusion. God does not measure faithfulness by how much you carry, but by how accurately you carry what is entrusted to you. Learning to release responsibility back to God is an act of trust, not neglect. Your understanding of provision may also mature here. Provision becomes less about accumulation and more about sufficiency. You learn to recognize abundance in stability, peace, and clarity, not only in resources. This perspective guards you from comparison and impatience. I have found that contentment sharpens discernment, while striving dulls it. When you are content, you hear more clearly. Chosen one. There may be moments when past fears attempt to resurface, often when progress becomes undeniable. Old narratives try to reassert themselves, questioning worth or readiness. Do not be surprised by this. Growth often triggers resistance from familiar patterns. Respond with truth rather than frustration. You have outgrown those narratives. They no longer define you. Recognition of growth does not require revisiting old wounds. You are also learning how to sustain faith without constant affirmation. Faith matures when it stands independent of reassurance. This does not mean isolation, it means internal stability. When affirmation comes, it confirms rather than fuels. This shift is subtle but powerful. It allows you to remain steady regardless of external feedback. Chosen one, remain attentive to the condition of your heart. Celebrate progress without becoming complacent. Acknowledge growth without pride. Gratitude keeps humility intact. Humility keeps alignment clear. When gratitude fades, entitlement creeps in. Guard against that drift. Gratitude reminds you that every step has been guided. There is a quiet authority forming within you that cannot be replicated. It is born from consistency, humility, and obedience. This authority does not demand space, it creates it. People may respond with trust or respect without explanation. This is not your doing. It is alignment expressing itself naturally. Stay faithful in small disciplines. They sustain large assignments. Prayer, reflection, rest, and honesty remain essential. Do not outgrow simplicity. Simplicity keeps you grounded when complexity increases. You are being prepared to navigate responsibility without losing intimacy. Chosen one, remain present where you are. Do not rush forward mentally. God unfolds instruction progressively. Trust the pace. Trust the process. You are not behind, you are aligned. Continue walking steadily, listening closely and responding faithfully. This season is stabilizing you for what lies ahead, and that stability will become a refuge for others in time. Chosen one. There is a deepening calm that settles when alignment becomes your default posture. You may notice that urgency no longer feels frantic, but focused. This focus is not driven by fear of missing something. It is guided by awareness of purpose. Purpose clarifies direction. When purpose leads, distraction loses power. I remember the relief that came when I realized I did not need to chase every opportunity. I needed to recognize the ones aligned with assignment. In this stage, obedience feels less dramatic and more integrated into daily life. Faith becomes practical. You pray, but you also act. You listen, but you also move. There is less separation between spiritual moments and ordinary ones. God becomes present in routine decisions as much as in significant ones. This integration marks maturity. It removes the pressure to constantly seek signs and replaces it with attentiveness. Chosen one, trust deepens when you see how past obedience produced fruit over time. Reflection becomes a source of strength rather than regret. You can look back without shame and forward without fear. This perspective allows you to move steadily without rushing. I have learned that confidence grows not from perfection, but from consistency. You trust yourself to respond because you have practiced responding faithfully before. You may also experience a growing sense of responsibility toward truth. Not the need to argue or correct constantly, but the commitment to live truthfully. Your integrity becomes a testimony louder than words. People observe how you handle pressure, disappointment, and success. These observations speak louder than declarations. Living truthfully creates trust that words alone cannot. Chosen one. Patience continues to refine your character. Patience does not mean passivity. It means restraint guided by wisdom. You learn when to wait and when to act. This discernment prevents unnecessary conflict and preserves energy for what matters. Waiting no longer feels like stagnation. It feels like preparation continuing quietly. There may also be moments when God asks you to step forward in ways that feel stretching but familiar. Familiar because your spirit recognizes the alignment, stretching because your capacity is expanding. These moments invite trust beyond comfort. I have learned that comfort rarely accompanies growth, but peace often does. Pay attention to peace. Peace confirms alignment even when comfort is absent. Chosen one. Relationships continue adjusting. Some deepen. Others remain seasonal. This fluidity is natural. Healthy relationships evolve with growth. Release the expectation that everything remains constant. Constancy in purpose matters more than constancy in form. God connects you with people for specific seasons. Honor those seasons without clinging. You are also learning to carry responsibility without internalizing pressure. Pressure internalized distorts perception. Responsibility accepted with trust clarifies it. When you feel weight, return to prayer rather than self-reliance. Prayer recalibrates perspective. It reminds you that you are partnered, not alone. Chosen one. Your awareness of impact may expand. You may realize that small acts of obedience ripple further than you imagined. A conversation, a prayer, a decision can influence outcomes unseen. This awareness encourages faithfulness in simplicity. Do not underestimate quiet obedience. Heaven values accuracy more than visibility. There may be moments when you are tempted to measure progress by external markers. Resist that temptation. External markers fluctuate. Alignment endures. When alignment remains, progress continues even when invisible. Trust the unseen work. God operates beyond immediate perception. Chosen one, continue cultivating humility. Humility keeps you teachable and receptive. It allows correction without defensiveness and guidance without resistance. Those who remain teachable remain effective. Effectiveness in the kingdom flows from responsiveness, not expertise alone. As you move forward, maintain rhythms that support sustainability. Rest when needed. Reflect regularly. Remain honest with God and yourself. These practices protect longevity. Calling is not a sprint. It is a long obedience. Pace matters. Chosen one. The integration of faith and life will continue deepening. You will recognize God's presence in ordinary moments more easily. Gratitude will surface more often. Confidence will feel quieter but stronger. This is growth settling into identity. Stay grounded. Stay aligned. Stay responsive. You are not striving toward something distant. You are walking within what is already unfolding. Trust the steadiness forming within you. It will anchor you as responsibility increases and guide you as influence expands. Chosen one, continue forward with clarity and humility. Let obedience remain simple. and trust remain deep. What God is shaping in you now will sustain what He entrusts to you later. Remain faithful where you are. Heaven is attentive, and your alignment matters more than you know. Chosen one. There comes a phase where everything you have learned begins to settle into quiet certainty, not excitement, not fear, but a steady knowing that you are walking within what was prepared for you. This certainty does not announce itself. It reveals itself through how you respond to pressure, how you navigate silence, and how you remain anchored when answers are incomplete. You may notice that you are no longer asking the same questions you once did. Not because everything is clear, but because trust has replaced the need for constant explanation. In this season, your awareness of God's nearness may feel less dramatic, but more constant. You do not always feel overwhelmed by emotion, yet you sense guidance woven into ordinary moments. Decisions form with clarity, discernment surfaces naturally. This is maturity taking root. I remember when faith stopped feeling like something I had to summon and became something I lived from. That shift brought rest. Faith no longer depended on circumstances. It remained present even when outcomes were unclear. Chosen one. You may also recognize a deeper patience within yourself. Patience that is not passive but grounded. You wait without anxiety. You move without urgency, driven by fear. This patience allows you to hear subtle instruction that hurried minds miss. God often speaks quietly when trust is established. Those who rush miss nuance. Those who wait perceive direction. There may be moments when progress feels slow, even when alignment is strong. This is not stagnation, it is consolidation. Consolidation strengthens what has already been built. I have learned that seasons of apparent stillness often reinforce foundations laid earlier. When movement resumes, it does so with stability. Trust these pauses. They are not setbacks. They are reinforcement. Chosen one. Your relationship with identity continues refining. You are less defined by what you do and more grounded in who you are becoming. Titles lose importance. Roles become tools rather than labels. This protects you from insecurity when roles shift. Identity rooted in God remains stable when assignments change. I've seen how fragile identity tied to function can be. When function changes, confusion follows. Grounding identity deeper prevents this fracture. You may also find yourself less reactive to opinion. Praise does not inflate. Criticism does not deflate. This emotional steadiness is not indifference. It is security. Security allows you to receive feedback without losing balance. It allows you to grow without defending every decision. This steadiness is rare, and it's cultivated through surrender over time. Chosen. One, humility remains essential as clarity grows. Humility keeps alignment pure. Pride distorts perception. When humility leads, correction becomes instruction rather than offense. I have learned that remaining teachable protects progress. Those who assume they have arrived stop growing. Growth continues where humility remains. You may notice that your compassion deepens alongside clarity. Compassion born from experience understands complexity. You become less quick to judge and more willing to listen. This does not weaken truth. It strengthens its delivery. Truth offered with compassion heals rather than wounds. Authority expressed through compassion restores rather than controls. Chosen. One, trust continues maturing. Trust in timing. Trust in provision. Trust in process. You are less tempted to force outcomes. You recognize that forcing often produces fragile results. Allowing produces sustainable ones. I have learned that surrender is not losing agency. It is choosing alignment over control. Control limits, alignment expands. There may be moments when the path ahead still feels undefined. Do not interpret this as lack of direction. Sometimes direction unfolds progressively to prevent overwhelm. God reveals what you need for the next step, not the entire journey. This keeps you dependent, not anxious. Dependence deepens intimacy. Chosen one, maintain attentiveness to your inner life. Guard thought patterns. Return to truth when doubt whispers. Reflection strengthens perspective. Remembering past faithfulness builds confidence for future obedience. Memory anchors faith. You are learning to walk steadily without needing urgency to validate movement. Steady progress outlasts rushed beginnings. The work God is doing within you now is subtle but strong. It is forming endurance, clarity, and discernment that will support what lies ahead. Remain present. Remain responsive. Remain grounded. Do not rush the unfolding. Trust the steadiness forming within you. This steadiness will guide you through transition and sustain you through responsibility. You are not waiting for alignment. You are walking within it. Continue forward with humility and trust. Heaven is attentive, and your faithfulness matters. Chosen one. There is a point where movement becomes quieter, not because less is happening, but because alignment has stabilized your inner world. You are no longer driven by urgency to prove, explain, or validate your path. Instead, you move with a settled awareness that what is unfolding does not require constant announcement. This quiet confidence is not detachment, it is depth. Depth allows you to remain present without reacting to every shift around you. In this phase, you may notice that clarity often comes after action rather than before it. You step forward with partial understanding, trusting that direction will sharpen as you move. This can feel uncomfortable if you once relied on certainty to feel secure. I have learned that certainty can sometimes become a substitute for trust. When trust matures, it no longer needs every answer in advance. It only needs alignment. Chosen one. Your sensitivity to distraction has increased. What once captured your attention easily now feels intrusive. This is not because you have become rigid. It is because your focus has narrowed. Focus is not limitation. It is refinement. When purpose clarifies, unnecessary noise loses appeal. You begin to protect your attention because you understand its value. Attention directs energy. Energy shapes outcomes. There may also be a growing awareness of how your presence affects environments. Rooms feel different when you enter. Conversations shift. Tension eases or surfaces truthfully. This is not about power, it is about congruence. When inner alignment and outward behavior match, presence carries weight. I remember realizing that my tone, not just my words, influenced atmosphere. Alignment speaks before language. Chosen. One, obedience in this season may feel repetitive. The same disciplines, the same choices, the same commitments. Do not mistake repetition for stagnation. Repetition builds mastery. Mastery produces reliability. Heaven entrusts influence to those who can be counted on consistently, not those who shine briefly. Consistency may feel unremarkable, but it is rare. You may also find that emotional extremes have softened. Highs are steadier, lows are less consuming. This emotional regulation is not indifference, it is resilience. Resilience allows you to remain functional under pressure. It allows you to respond rather than react. I have learned that resilience grows when identity is anchored beyond circumstances. When your sense of self is stable, emotions inform rather than control. Chosen one. You are also learning to recognize subtle instruction. Not every directive arrives loudly. Sometimes it is a gentle nudge, a quiet restraint, a sense to pause or proceed. These subtle cues require attentiveness. They cannot be heard when the mind is crowded. This is why simplicity becomes essential. Simplicity clears space for discernment. There may be moments when you feel unseen or misunderstood, even as alignment deepens. Do not interpret this as failure. Visibility is not always immediate. Some work is meant to mature privately before it appears publicly. I have learned that premature exposure can distort growth. God often conceals before he reveals, not to withhold, but to protect. Chosen one. Patience continues refining your character. Patience teaches you to trust pacing beyond preference. You may want acceleration, but God values stability. Acceleration without grounding leads to fracture. Grounding without movement leads to stagnation. God balances both. Trust his pacing. It is intentional. You may also notice that your prayers have become simpler but more precise. Fewer words, deeper alignment. You no longer feel the need to convince God. You align with him. This alignment shifts prayer from request to agreement. Agreement carries authority. Chosen one, humility remains essential. Growth does not eliminate the need for correction. It increases its importance. Correction keeps alignment accurate. Welcome it. Correction offered at the right time prevents greater disruption later. I have learned that correction received early saves pain later. As you continue forward, remain attentive to your internal posture. Gratitude sustains humility. Reflection sustains clarity. Rest sustains endurance. These are not optional, they are foundational. Without them, responsibility becomes burdensome rather than purposeful. Chosen one. You are not standing still, you are stabilizing. Stabilization prepares you to carry greater responsibility without losing balance. The steadiness forming within you will allow you to navigate complexity without confusion and influence without distortion. Continue walking faithfully where you are. Do not rush ahead mentally. Stay present. Stay responsive. What is forming now will support what unfolds next. Trust the process that shaped you. Trust the alignment that guides you. Heaven is attentive, and your continued faithfulness is not unnoticed. Chosen one. There is a quiet strength settling into you now, a strength that does not rush or demand attention. You may feel less compelled to explain yourself and more willing to let consistency speak. This is growth taking root. When urgency fades, discernment rises, and you begin to trust that what is aligned will endure without force. You are learning that obedience does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it looks like choosing restraint, returning to prayer, or remaining faithful in routines that seem small. These moments matter. They shape character capable of carrying influence without being consumed by it. I've learned that faithfulness in the ordinary often prepares you for responsibility in the extraordinary. Chosen one. Your awareness of God's guidance is becoming steadier. You recognize direction without panic and correction without shame. This steadiness allows you to remain present even when answers unfold slowly. Waiting no longer feels empty, it feels purposeful. Stay attentive to your inner posture. Gratitude will keep your heart soft. Humility will keep your hearing clear. Trust will keep you moving without fear. You're not behind. You're being refined with precision. Continue forward with confidence and trust the process forming you. Chosen one. As this journey settles into maturity, you may notice a new kind of peace accompanying your steps. It is not the absence of questions, but the presence of trust strong enough to carry them. You no longer need to rush answers or force clarity. You understand now that clarity unfolds through faithfulness, not pressure. This peace did not come overnight. It was formed through repeated choices to stay aligned when outcomes were uncertain and recognition was absent. You have learned how to remain steady when circumstances fluctuate. This steadiness is becoming your strength. Where you once reacted quickly, you now respond thoughtfully. Where you once feared missing direction, you now trust guidance will meet you as you move. I have learned that this confidence does not come from self-assurance, but from remembering how many times God has already carried you through moments you did not think you could survive. Chosen one. Your faith has become quieter but deeper. You no longer need constant affirmation to believe you are on the right path. You recognize alignment by peace rather than excitement. This shift protects you from emotional swings and anchors you in consistency. Faith rooted this way does not collapse when feelings change. It remains present, guiding you steadily forward. There may still be moments when uncertainty surfaces. Do not resist them. Uncertainty does not cancel calling. It often refines it. Bring those moments into prayer rather than hiding them. God responds to honesty with clarity. You are not expected to have everything figured out. You are expected to remain responsive. You are also learning to hold your calling with humility. Humility allows growth to continue. It keeps your heart open to correction and your spirit receptive to instruction. I have learned that humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking accurately. Accurate perspective keeps alignment clear and prevents unnecessary struggle. Chosen one, remain mindful of how you care for your inner life. Rest when needed. Reflect often. Stay connected to truth. These practices will sustain you as responsibility increases. Calling that outpaces care leads to exhaustion. Calling nurtured through wisdom leads to longevity. You are not walking alone, even when the path feels solitary. Heaven remains attentive. Guidance continues quietly. Provision follows obedience in ways you may not anticipate. Trust the process unfolding. What you have become matters deeply. Continue forward with patience and confidence. Let faith remain active, humility remain present, and trust remain strong. You are aligned, prepared, and supported. Stay faithful where you are. The journey continues with purpose and peace. Chosen one. We have come to the end of this word, but not to the end of what heaven is doing in you. What has been spoken has not fallen to the ground. It has settled into your spirit because this moment was prepared for you. You did not arrive here by accident. You are standing in a kairos moment, a divinely appointed time where preparation meets activation and alignment meets release. Heaven has already begun the transfer, and your spirit knows it. Anointed one, receive this truth with reverence. What you have carried in seed form is beginning to move into manifestation. The weight you felt was not pressure meant to crush you. It was glory preparing to rest on you. The stirring you sense is not confusion. It is heaven drawing you into position. You are not late. You are not early. You are exactly on time. I speak blessing over you now. May your discernment remain sharp and your heart remain pure. May your obedience stay simple and your faith remain unshaken. I declare that doors aligned with your assignment will open without strain, and that doors not meant for you will close without regret. I declare peace over your mind, strength over your body, and clarity over every decision before you. May divine provision meet you precisely where obedience leads you. Chosen one. The season ahead will require steadiness more than striving. Remain faithful in prayer. Stay aligned with truth. Let gratitude guard your heart as expectation builds. What is coming will not be sustained by effort alone, but by intimacy with God. You have been trained for endurance, not just moments of intensity. Walk forward with humility and quiet confidence. Know this: heaven sees you, heaven trusts you, heaven is with you. You are not walking into uncertainty, you are walking into fulfillment, one obedient step at a time. The anointing resting on your life will not fade, it will deepen, and the fruit of your obedience will speak louder than any words ever could. If your spirit bears witness to this word, you may seal it quietly before God, or you may write, "I am ready," as a declaration of alignment. If you are led, remain connected, stay watchful, and share this word with another chosen one who needs strengthening. Not out of obligation, but out of love. Go forward now in peace. Stay faithful, stay aligned, stay ready. Heaven is already moving, and your life is part of the answer.